Lesotho's Health Minister Semano Sekatle has launched the COVID-19 Citizen app. The COVID-19 Citizen app is a free app for mobile phones that helps users to retrieve their COVID-19 vaccination digital certificate and to get COVID-19 related issues. Okay, we'll clarify that in just a moment. The app is used to alert the most dangerous places of COVID-19 pandemic. It also has a self-screening and everything related to COVID-19. The Lesotho Government has expressed gratitude to the developers of the app, saying the application will help Lesotho in the long run. People with smartphones will be able to retrieve their COVID-19 vaccination digital certificate through the app. So to talk about the app, the initiative is by Tafari and the chairman of Tafari is here to talk to us about it, Tafari Capital. Dr. Thabo Lehlokoe, a very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. Apologies for that slight confusion. So let's talk about the app. I've seen, by the way, I've just done a search on various platforms, and I saw that there were others. You can tell me about how they differ. But let's start with why Lesotho.
Thank you, Thabiso, for this opportunity. Why Lesotho? Let me put it this way. Lesotho was the one that was open to it. Okay. We originally started by offering the same opportunity to the South African government, but I guess they had other ideas. And we then went to Lesotho and said to the government there, look, here's COVID, there's a way of managing some of these things. It's not everything that will happen, that you can do to manage COVID, but it will assist, because the app itself really is a COVID management app. It's not just a contact tracing app, you know. So what we tried to do was to build a one-stop shop, in a sense, for COVID management for countries, right? And so it would then have different elements to it. The digital certificate is something that is one of the aspects of the app itself, but it's quite a holistic and comprehensive solution where anybody who, especially in Lesotho, who wants to go and know much about COVID, they could go onto the app and read about the latest deaths.
So you
and stuff,
actually get a snapshot of Lesotho and its management of COVID-19 itself and the hotspot areas.
Yeah. That's the whole idea.
All right. So let's talk about, firstly, as we mentioned, the Easter traffic, people going back to Lesotho, and as people cross the border, we know documents, not only identity documents to cross over, have been a major issue, but the COVID-19 certificate, and I want to talk about the compatibility for those who would have perhaps attained it here in South Africa. How would it work with the systems in Lesotho? How have you worked on the app to do that, to speak to each other? Okay.
So this is something that I think we've thought about. And part of the challenge, though, which I know is the case, is that while the South African side can read or can scan and read the digital certificate that was produced in Lesotho, the Lesotho people cannot read the South African one, which poses a challenge, because now if you're living from here to Lesotho and you're supposed to scan it and you can't scan it, you can't verify indeed that, it is what it claims to be. But having said that, there has been discussions that have gone into it, that under the circumstances, particularly the rush of Easter, if somebody does produce a certificate from South Africa and you compare it with the information that is on the passport of the individual that's crossing, you'd be able to go across. Now, remember, there's two types of people. There will be those that are Basotho from South Africa who have been working here, who got vaccinated here, but are going to Lesotho. So this also creates an opportunity for the Lesotho government to update their records about the people of Lesotho who have vaccinated in overall, including those in or outside the country. So when they do get to the to the border post, even if Lesotho, but with a South African COVID certificate that shows they've been vaccinated, that detail will be inputted into the database, Lesotho, to allow them to go through. Because remember, there's also a vaccine mandate there, which means then that at some point, if you are in Lesotho and you have your vaccine certificate and it's been verified, you can then be able to go to whatever places where there is a vaccine requirement without having any issues. And our solution, which we have built for the government of Lesotho, is very good with that.
And it's compatible with any mobile phone, or does it have to have certain software?
No, you can download it. At the moment, what we're doing is we're encouraging people to go to the citizanapp.co.ls to download the different types of apps there. You can have it on Apple, you can have it on Huawei, and on Google, or on the website. It's much better there. So
there's something that I actually wanted to find out. I mean, the whole issue about vaccine passports, we've been having discussions about for months, particularly the fact that there are unscrupulous characters who would seek to fake documents. Have you thought about that? Is it inbuilt into the system? Is it something that you're working on so that you have legitimate documentation that is being passed on from one system to the next?
I think that's part of why our solution became this powerful, because before we implemented the Citizen app, people used to use a PIN card and it was handwritten.
Yes.
And so when people used to cross the border, the South African side would say, no, we don't accept this. There's too many fraudulent things with it. So what we've decided was to be able to build this digital certificate, which has got a QR code that has been inbuilt, and not everyone or anyone can read it. It's only specific people, because we've built some kind of security around it. But even on the certificate itself, we've got what you call obfuscations of certain detail, so that you don't see the person's ID number or date of birth
watermarks,
completely.
For instance.
There's a watermark as well in there, and so you will see, for example, 64-, and then the end of it. So you don't quite read. If you are looking at it, you won't see the total thing. But if you scan it and you are an authorized person to scan because we try to make it open, so that anybody from Lesotho can go anywhere in the world and they'll be able to have their thing read. But it's also going to be only for authorized people that are able to do that. So there's a way of doing that, yeah.
So let's talk about the other services that the app offers, and how is it going to help with COVID-19 management?
So part of how the app works is that, originally, the contact tracing was a key part of it, and contact tracking as it used to be at the early stages. But we build the app in such a way that at different times within the COVID, different elements of the app become more prominent. So, for example, right now, the most prominent one would be people requiring their vaccine certificates and or test results, which if in case you are not vaccinated, but you have tested negative, that you could also be allowed to pass. So that information will be inputted into the system such that you can be able to do that. That's one aspect of it. The other one is that all the statistics that you will have in the country, updated statistics as they go along, you'll be able to see them on the app itself. So that's the first thing. How many people have been vaccinated, and so forth, or how many tests have been done, how many were positive, and so anybody who's interested in knowing the statistics of COVID in Lesotho can, in the app. You don't have to go to a separate product element. You can do it in the app. There's other elements where, for example, you can do surveys. You can do self-screening. Where, for example, you're feeling a little bit, not okay, so you go into the self-screening side, you go through these things, and while it will not diagnose you, but it will either recommend that you must go and see someone or that.
So based on whatever informational data that you input into the system,
yes,
such as your temperature, symptoms, etc.
Yes, there's certain questionnaires that have been prepared according to WHO standards, and they change because as we begin to understand COVID more and more, we begin to understand that it presents in a number of different ways. Mm-hmm. So we'll look at that. Then there's also a portion about heat maps, which could show where there's a flare-up of COVID, specific areas. And one other thing which is quite interesting is part of the surveys. One of the things that we actually looking at is something where you look at the adverse effects. So let's say you've just had a COVID injection, and there's people who always say that I had this thing and therefore I heard that somebody had a COVID vaccine and then, but it's hearsay, right? There isn't any information that has been put together, somebody responding, yes, I'm feeling like this now, and gathering that data for an individual, for a community, for everybody else. What we've enabled through the app is to have that should I say, inputs about adverse effects, particularly after vaccination.
So the scientific facts are available to you so that there's no guesswork in...
Yeah, and it will become very helpful to the people, because also it will indicate this particular batch of the vaccine may have been responsible for, if there is a generalized...
Dr. Lehlokoe, quick and final question. The Lesotho Health Minister, or in fact it was you who were saying at the launch that this would also help for future in terms of Lesotho's economy. How?
Look, it's already doing that right now, because as we speak today, the app itself, because of the fact that people can now safely produce their vaccine certificates to show their status, more and more of the places are being opened. They are going to be looking at going to soccer stadiums, events are opening up. Okay. People are traveling across the border now safely. You can be able to do that. And all of this is actually assisting in opening up the economy in the COVID environment.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Thabo Lehlokoe, who is the chairman of Tafari Capital. As he says, the citizen help is helping the mountain kingdom of Lesotho in many ways, not only monitoring those who are in and coming through into Lesotho in terms of vaccinations, but also the hotspot areas, but also encouraging the economic tourism there.